Oh, so I'm trying to, yeah, that's amazing, but it is. We learned terms.
Yeah. All right. I think we're ready to go here. So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us. My name is Benjamin Johnson. I'm the event coordinator here from McNally Robinson Booksellers in Saskatoon. This event is being held on Treaty 6 territory. This is the land of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dene, Dakota, Nakota, and Lakota, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. As we listen to our speakers share their words today, may we recognize the Indigenous stories that have been told on this land for time immemorial. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Saskatoon launch of Coyote Snow by Laurie Lynn Muirhead and Confirm Humanity by Kim Mannix, both published by Wild Skies Press and hosted by Verl Coghill. Thank you so much to Laurie, Kim, and Verl for being here this evening. Sorry, we usually do this in the evening. This afternoon for working with us to make this event happen. Just a note, this event is being live streamed, so please be aware of the webcam to your right. If you walk in front of that, that's going to be on the internet for I don't know how long. So I'd also like to take this time to encourage you to turn off your phones for the duration of the event. That will also live on the internet forever. If you would like to buy copies of Coyote Snow or Confirm Humanity, we have some up on the signing table behind me, as well as on the table where you first walked in. You're welcome to get your book signed before you purchase it, but please actually purchase it. We're trying to run a business here. I'm going to start by introducing our host for this afternoon, Verl. Verl Coghill lives, plays, dances, and creates in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. She is a writer and performance poet and has been a member of the Saskatchewan Writers Guild and Sans Nom Poetry Group for 32 years. She holds a creative writing certificate with distinction from Humber College. Verl has been published in numerous literary journals in both fiction and poetry. She has written 6 collections that have either been published or performed, including Make Me, After Pain, Kickstand, Ready or Not, The Language of Separation, Recipe for Normal, and most recently, 40 Fabulous Follies, Flashing Fluvogs. I feel like she put that one in there just to trip me up at the end, but everybody please give her a warm welcome.
Thank you. Is the mic good? Everybody can hear? Great. I'm honored to be invited to host this event this afternoon. And welcome everyone. I'm excited, as I'm sure you are, for a journey through our senses, mind, and heart as we share in hearing this amazing poetry. I am going to be introducing Alexis Marie Shute, who's the editor and publisher of the poetry books this afternoon. And then I will be, after I introduce Alexis, she will be introducing Kim and Laurie, and then we'll have a question and answer period with Laurie. And then we will be open to the signing of the books and buying of the books. So for Alexis Marie Shute is a creative powerhouse, a best-selling author and award-winning artist, filmmaker, photographer, curator, and publisher, whose work spans 2 decades. Her abstract paintings, portraits, photography, films, and literary works have been showcased globally, and her artwork is represented by the Gallery of Alberta. Her debut memoir, Expecting Sunshine, 2017, was adapted into an acclaimed documentary film, followed by her amazing best-selling YA fantasy trilogy, including Above the Star, 2018, Below the Moon, 2019, and Inside the Sun, 2020. Her recent nonfiction books, Prairie Spirits, 2021, The Eternal Summer of Alberta's Herbarium, 2022, Memorable Murals, 2023, Moments in Focus, 2024, and Project Sketchbook Volume 1, 2025. Celebrate Alberta's rich culture and landscape. Shute curates the Red Brick Common, Wild Skies Art Gallery, and In Focus Poetry Exhibit, and co-founded Wild Skies Press. She is also a passionate public speaker and educator. And from all this, the powerhouse
Yeah.
arrives. Thank you. Amazing.
We did not need my bio, but thank you very much for sharing that. I am super delighted and proud, like a mama bear, of these two authors beside me. And so how this event is going to work is, first of all, I'm going to introduce Kim Mannix, the fabulous Kim Mannix, who is going to share about a little bit about her creative process and read to you some of her poems. And then I'm going to introduce Laurie, and she's also going to share her practice and her poems, and then we'll get into the Q&A. Oh, so when I first met Kim, was involved with the Edmonton Poetry Festival, and her enthusiasm and passion and creativity blew me away. And so that's really where our relationship got started. So to give her formal bio, Kim Mannix is a journalist, poet, short fiction writer who lives and creates in Treaty 6 in Sherwood Park, Alberta. Born and raised in Saskatoon, whoop, here we go. She is a graduate of both the University of Saskatchewan and the University of Regina. She has lived and worked across Canada. Her passion for climate change, justice issues, the importance of art, feminism, and parenthood intersect in both her creative and professional pursuits. Kim is a contributing editor with Watch Your Head, a climate crisis anthology, and an entertainment and lifestyle writer for MSN. She currently serves as a vice president, but you're president now, right? This is the old bio. I apologize. She's the president. She's the boss lady, one not to trifle with, for the Edmonton Poetry Festival, and is an avid believer that everyone, everywhere, has poetry in their souls. Her poetry and prose have appeared in numerous Canadian and American journals and anthologies. Confirm Her Humanity is her first book of poetry, but I'm certain it's not going to be her last. So let's please welcome Kim Mannix. I'm going to be taking pictures, so if I'm in your way, I apologize.
She's always taking pictures. She just wears the cameras around everywhere, not just for minutes. Thank you, everybody. I will be brief because I had the pleasure of having my official book launch in Edmonton last week, and Laurie Lynn came from Saskatoon for that. So I get to piggyback on hers today, so I can be here for my friends and family. So I will just very quickly say, thank you to Alexis, Marie Chute, and Fiona Pearson, who also works for Wild Sky. She's incredibly organized. Can't be here today because she's doing work back in Edmonton. It's been amazing to work with them for this process and this book. Again, thank you to Laurie for letting me be here today and this Saskatoon place. I love this bookstore. Of course, it's a mainstay every time I come home. And this is still my hometown, regardless of the fact that I've not lived here in 24 years. Yeah, it's still my hometown. So thank you very much to friends and family that are here. We're having a little bit of a high school reunion. So if I have excited energy, that's why. So to give you guys a little info about my book, it's a long book, meaning that I started writing these poems more than 10 years ago when I moved back to the prairies from other parts of Canada. It was at the time that my mom was ill. I had small kids, so I was reconciling with being a mother, losing a mother, the world getting more and more calamitous, which is something that I think I always think about because my background in journalism, but especially once you have kids, that very much comes into play. So the poems in this book sort of intersect with all of those ideas and address them. And I just wanted to say this is kind of a cool thing. There's a poet and photographer in Edmonton named Shauna LeMay, who I know and follow on social media. And just before I came, I saw she posted a quote that it was her quote. She said, "Please stay receptive to beauty." And I thought that kind of sums up my book. As much as it is difficult to do it sometimes, that's what I wish, is that we could stay receptive to beauty. I'll put on my old lady glasses. Disturbing the peace. It's hard to keep your muscles loose, your teeth unclenched. Hard to hear the news over and over and over. Insert city, number of dead here. Painting layer after layer of rage on top of you. It's a wonder you're not shellacked in place, fist up and mouth open, mid-anger shriek. How do you stay soft? How do you stop from popping your peas on impossible words like prayer, peace, protection. How do you say you're a pacifist and mean it? It used to be so easy. Remember raising two fingers like you saw the long-haired rock stars do on the cover of your dad's records? There's a plaque you have in your living room. Peace, like charity, begins at home. You've believed it for a long time, but lately you worry it ends there too. Praise to all the brave souls who turn on the TV, refresh the news feed, open the door, wave to a neighbor. Their bodies as supple as yogis, belief cushioning their red, red hearts. This poem, I'll just tell you, was for a while the working title of my manuscript, because this manuscript is also old and has had many different names and many different configurations. And the title is the collective noun for a group of ladybugs. A loveliness. A moving mass of ladybugs scarleted the white wall of my uncle's garage. The entire south-facing side afire with spotted beetles. It's a loveliness, he said. They gathered to hibernate. He led me close enough to hear the collective whir of thousands of lives in congregation. Gently, he touched his hand to the wall, let the ladybugs run across his skin, in and out of his calloused fingers, leaving yellow-orange trails. Reflex bleeding, he told me. It happens when they're threatened. He shook his hand and the ladybugs flitted up, away back to settle in the throng. That night I dreamt I had wings, a ruby carapace, a million sisters to hold me when I bleed orange. This poem was actually written during the pandemic. I took a course online when we first started to do those things, a poetry course. And anyone here who's a writer knows that things go through many, many iterations, but this poem is almost exactly how it was when it first came out. There will be gentle things. I miss normal, she whispered, as I traced a circle across her back, some kind of dial to move her towards sleep, to a quieter place than this darkened bedroom where the hard edges and jagged ridges of the last year have dissolved into soft S sounds, the small swish of two pages closing against one another. I ask my therapist, Gaia, what it means to hold space. Imagine the dimple in the river's edge when you pluck a stone for your pocket, the way the water embraces the vacancy. Listen to the robin sing, but attend more deeply to the silence that cradles the notes. When the forest huffs, trying to catch its breath, notice how the gray clouds bustle in, alert to thirst. Relish the sweetness of the most sincere strawberry, how it blushes your fingertips with a keepsake kiss. Be. Trace the indigo veins on your wrist to mimic the whorls and loops of your grandmother's handwriting. If a golden wheat stem lends its head towards you, donate your ears, your heart, without expectation. All right, my last one I'm going to read is when one of the best things about living in Edmonton is the proximity to Jasper. And it's a really special place to my family and I. And unfortunately, we've not been there since the fires happened. We hope to go back and hope it doesn't cause a mourning in us to see it, but it will be resilient as nature is. First night in Jasper. This is a new dark, and though I prepared for stars, I'm still caught with something like wonder sticking its bony finger in my fat dread. It's like a pocket place, you said about the campsite just this afternoon, pulling sleeping bags from the back of the car. I looked all the way up to where the trees jabbed the sky, almost forgot the hollowness we left 5 hours back. I didn't hear it then, but the river thrums, even from the edge, like darkness cups the sound, forces us to take turns holding it, maybe from now on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim. Kim's poetry is one of those things that it puts words to the experience of everyday life and our place in the world. And I just really appreciate her unique, beautiful perspective on that. So thank you so much, Kim, for sharing that. So next we have our headliner, Saskatchewan woman here. And I also want to draw attention to the beautiful painting that Laurie Lynn's niece, I'm getting that right? Niece painted. So if you do want to come up and see, this is a one-of-a-kind original artwork as well. So to introduce this beautiful woman beside me, Laurie Lynn Muirhead lives in beautiful North Central Saskatchewan. And this is my first time, I think, to North Central Saskatchewan. So Saskatoon, welcome. It's nice to meet you. She is a creator of poetry and children's literature. Laurie writes what she lives and especially is inspired by the extreme simplicity of the natural world around her. Her work has appeared in numerous periodicals such as The New Quarterly and The Society and has been broadcast on CBC radio. Her first collection of poetry, Bone Sense, was selected for the Thistledown's New Leaf series and a children's book, Lullaby Lily, published with YNWP. Laurie Lynn is a long-standing member with the Sans Nom Poetry Group. She is a creative writing coach for youth and a current member with the Saskatchewan Writers Guild. She enjoys sharing her work at themed poetry readings, poetic gatherings, and creative writing workshops. Besides writing, Laurie works part-time as a librarian. Gosh, we've got to appreciate the librarians in the world, seriously. At the Shellbrook Elementary Public School. And she helps out on the family ranch in the rural area of Wild Rose. Let's please welcome Laurie Lynn Muirhead.
Thank you, Alexis. And I want to thank everyone for being here today. I really appreciate it and appreciate that I can be with Kim again. We had a wonderful launch in Edmonton last week and it's nice to do it all over again. I'd like to thank God for the gift of writing. Writing brings me joy and reflection, closure and peace. And I want to thank my husband, Ward. He got me there last week to Edmonton with a little bit of angst, but we did it. And he's always very supportive of me with my pen and paper. And I'd like to thank McNally and Benjamin, the event coordinator, for their promotion of and support for this launch. And I'd like to thank Molly Matchy. I think she started this portrait at 4 in I believe it was the afternoon, and she finished at 4 this morning. So thank you, Molly, wherever you are. There she is. Very nice. And I want to thank Verl, one of my very good friends, poet friends, for emceeing. And last but definitely not least, and I've said this last week, but I'm going to say it again, I would like to thank Alexis Marie Chute and her team, which is Fiona as well, for their unwavering expertise, support, and push. I have never experienced such an energetic, motivated, professionally driven group of individuals. They have hoisted me beyond my comfort zone, and I truly and deeply appreciate their efforts, wisdom, and upstanding knowledge when it comes to the business of publishing. Coyote Snow is a collection of poems that have evolved over the past 10 years. Its words are written close to the land and are void of any political sentiment. It seeks only to divulge creation in its natural form and its impression on the human spirit. It follows a January through December timeline whereby land lovers see only 2 seasons, winter and getting ready for winter. As I do live on a ranch, most of our time is spent looking after livestock. We are the stewards of livestock and land. And so it's very important that when you come in at night, that everything is safe and good for them before you rest. So it seems like once summer comes, it's time to get feed ready for our livestock and everything else that happens on the land. The poem is written in story form. It is poems, they have titles, but they're connected one to the other. And when I decided that, there was a few connected, and it seemed so disconnected that the rest weren't done like that. So I took another season in the winter and redid it, and I really like it. You can read it one through the other, probably take you about an hour, and you will see, you'll get the whole feel for it. So the ones that I'm reading, I'm going to read the first couple because they kind of started, and then I'll try to connect a couple because then you can kind of feel how it would go through from one end. It starts in January and ends in December. Hello, January. And how is the cold, dark side of you, the wanting warmth of your not too tall days? Tell me, what light will you secrete for the tepid thrum of my existence when I rise in the dredge of your sleep, an oiled lantern down the hall, flickering, flickering as heart murmured, 2 brown toast with anhedonia. Is this really you, your hefty fist of freeze, holding me implicitly, waiting and watching the narrow vein of sunrise, imploding mercury, the slow pang of melancholy, midwinter? Winter, the Calvary of white horse, gunmetal gray days, cast in the shadow of almost no sun, her ironclad words lower than the sundogs at high noon, slower than the coursing cold running vertical through horizontal vein, you and I working parallel, bundled abominably, exchanging orders through thick balaclavas, your frosted eye on the frozen hose and flat tire, a twisted grin when I scold you for cursing this land, the seasonal existence we so established. Take discord to the shelter of a tepid barn, our seasonal displeasure with indifference, troubleshoot the callous reality of your 40 below. With a composed kiss on your cold cheek, love's slow thaw. We embrace the brief respite of certainty. The warmest part of a man is a woman, her affections. And this next poem, it goes into spring, but this, I was originally going to call this book The Birthing Fields, and I had wanted to call it for about 5 years, but Coyote Snow, because Coyote Snow is kind of the first snow of the year, and you see the tracks of where everything goes. So it kind of runs through the book more than the birthing fields, although the birthing fields are a big part of it. Pain of a warm womb. The birthing fields are a seasonal ritual, descent of root and seed, dormant in a cold land, resurrected with the pulling of the sun on longer days. Wide open spaces and soft gullies speak fervent remembrance, bunches of poplar crowding sunny side of slough edges, and the lone call of a blue heron extracts melody from warmer soil and the old bones of something lost. Some days cantankerous weather raises the land. She accepts her fate without dispute. Pregnant cows abandon overt spaces, take shelter in willow brush and damp sod. Labor gives no warning. Unpredictable as the sudden chance of storm, birth falls where and when it will. Survival is in the strength of an abrupt delivery and a good mother. A good mother is of her own a spiritual psalm. She speaks to me when the sun pulls into itself and the moon slides on the edge of coyote chorus. A hopeful chant that one might be stillborn while the spicy scent of birth spills into the soil, disappears. I know the pain of a warm womb, for it was I who ate the forbidden apple, not the cow. Her contractions efficiently complacent, she licks placenta, swallows the afterbirth, sleeps on the edge, instinctive maternity. The birthing fields are a daily dose of reverence, trusting the land, this herd, each other, fighting against the erosion of what we know for sure, as if anything we say or do will make a difference. For the night has long since concealed any birthing calamities. Some live, Some die, and the coyote desires to eat too. I grieve his rejoicing and the perceived notion that a good business should have no losses. Money is all that matters. But this is not about dollars and cents. This is about humility, saving the weak, the premature, the rejected, for the delicate balance of any existence, fragile, and our assistance with natural processes, unwanted. An instinctual mama cow recedes into the creases of the land, succumbs to labor, and gives birth. On a virtuous day, she claims victory, renders an offspring. I only need to recognize how many virtuous days there are. And when you're on the land so much and out for hours and hours, you see a lot of injustices in nature. But it's meant to be. So you have to leave it. But it doesn't disqualify how you feel. So this is called Bullybird. And it's something I experienced. There is virtually no song for January. The winter birds, few in number, articulate soft and cold, an emulation of snow in keeping with the balance of seasonal survival. But when I saw that chickadee hanging from the beak of the sparrowhawk, gaping womb, scourge of feathers, I was furious that he would attack my small winter song, furious that he killed chickadee on my own front porch, her lifeless body in the clutch of claws, her soft bit of trill silent. And so I meditated bird murder, how I would set bait, a snare, pull sundogs into this war storm, make him feel dread and suffrage, something of his own affliction. But affliction in the natural world halos the act of survival, and my anger is solely unjustified. And I'm going to read one for my mom because she gardened for many years, and she's instilled in us a garden is essential. And yes, there's something about a garden when you take your shoes and socks off and you go bare feet, you ground yourself. It's very, very important. Women in the land. Finally, light and warmth, the darkest of days, all but a memory, soft spring rain and new growth, washing over the snow scars of an overly ambitious winter. Time to dream a garden, plant some posy, let the blooms breathe in. And so I measure and mark, pound stakes, spray wireweed, work fingers and loam to death, and naturally the song of soil with the long arm of an old sun heartens me to crawl out of my cold skin. Where to begin? Perhaps a shrub garden with popsicle lilacs, dazzling daylilies, maybe some patio stones, red and rustic, burnished browns, toppled with wooden whiskey barrels, begonia jammed and spilling over, the kind you could get drunk on, lazing in a braiding hammock, sipping the evening air. Or perhaps some vegetables, whisper of carrot seed and leaf lettuce, alongside rows and rows of sunflowers, squash and kohlrabi, the spiritual poise of heat and humidity, pulsating the seed, pouring from the sun into soil, into me. What is it about women and the land? Wombs for the seed, nurturing the roots, their gardens so much more than fresh fruit and vegetables, bouquets or borscht, a whole pot of healing. Life begins when you plant a garden. Thank you.
And I turned it off. There we go. So we're going to do a question and answer period. I have a few questions I'm going to ask Laurie. With these poems, you tell a story of the year on the land, and you seem driven to write it. Why is this so important to you?
Well, I think as a writer, you can't help but write what you live, because if your writing doesn't matter to you, it doesn't matter to anyone else, I don't feel. So I feel that you can write what you live because you can basically wake up in the morning with this on your brain and you have to get it on paper. That's about how it goes. So I think it's important because there's not a lot of ranches around anymore. And I think it's important for our food industry that people know that ranchers are extremely good stewards of the cattle and the land. I think that's mostly important.
Wonderful. Thank you, Laurie. It seems the relationship with the land, with winter, with the cattle, is one of love, hope, and happiness, as well as great loss. Tell me more about this.
Well, I think, yeah, when I read Bully Bird, like you see a lot of loss, and you see a lot of loss with the animals, with your herd. I mean, you try to avoid it at all costs. And like I said, before you go to bed, you make sure everything is safe and in place. But I think loss has something to do, whether it's our physical losses of people around us, it has extreme effect on us, whether we know it or not. And I feel very fortunate as a writer to be able to put this on paper and then go back a few months later and read this and say, have I grown beyond this? Does this still speak to me? So it's a real good, there's lots of poems I've wrote that they're in the garbage now because they're not to share with anyone else.
Thanks. Your book is very visceral through the use of imagery and metaphors, which ask us to touch, taste, smell, see, and hear. You seem to do this very well. Are you aware of this when you're writing your poems?
No, I don't think I am actually. We have a really good, and Verl's part of our writing group. We have a really good writing group. And you learn as you go through the years you'll never write like anyone else. You'll just write like you, but you see some techniques and how new and fresh work is always something that you've never heard. So you're always looking for that end of it. When you initially write it, no, it's just a bunch of scribble on paper, and then you extract the poem and then you work with that.
Your book is very layered with emotions, senses, relationships, love, hope, loss, tension, and release, and relief. Tell me a little more about this, Deb.
Well, I think that comes from living on the land. And I've had the fortunate to work 45 years with my husband, and we have really got it hammered out where we all stand. But you really know when you work on the land who's got your back. So I didn't realize there was a love story in this book, but I've been told by reviewers there's a love story in this book. And so I was actually, when I read it after, I said, yeah, there is a love story. And although there is the angst at the end of the day, we're kind of like everything's safe in place and in goodwill. So I'm very thankful to my husband for this journey and that he gives me something to write about now and then, whether he likes it or not.
And that leads right into my other question about when I read through the book, the relationship between the man and the woman is another relationship woven, but it's woven in quite subtly through the poems, yet holds so much weight in knowing this connection is a constant of the ranch. And tell me more about that.
Well, you're going to have to stick together to make it through. I always say I have a really nice picture in my living room. It's of geese, and I love the Canada geese. Actually, I love all nature. I love working outside. But that one especially speaks to me that Canada geese mate for life. So I said, my husband and I are going to be like that until either one of us gets shot or one of us dies. You know what I mean? So I think the very important thing is that, and they also said that I had some reviewers say, you don't have your children there. Well, you know, it's kind of my husband and I, our journey, and our children are a big part of it, but it's been our journey together, and he can't help but being there.
And my last question, which you've answered a bit, but maybe you can go into a little more detail about what your writing process is and how you've gone about writing this whole book.
Okay, the writing process is very for me, it's very clear and cut. I see something, and usually it's in the back of my mind, or I carry little bits of paper because this has happened, or I go right away and write something down. And it might be 2 weeks, it might be a month, and then I'll come across this, and then the story comes, or I'll wait. And I just sit down like a gift, I guess. But and then from there, I'll write, and I'll go writing. I'll probably spend 2 hours a day for probably 3 months. And then I'll leave it for 6 months and think, okay, I got to do something with this. But when I go back, that's when the editing starts. Because all of a sudden you see, you write something, you think, this is my baby. Oh, I don't want to change this, but oh yes, it has to be changed. Some of these poems have been rewritten 25 times. And actually I read it the other day and I thought, nope, I don't want to change anything. So I'm really happy with this collection.
Thank you, Laurie. Thanks for all your answers. I want to thank everyone for coming out today. It was wonderful to hear the headliner and also to hear Kim. And the books are back here and over there. If you'd like the signing done back here, and they're going to sit and sign books for you to purchase. And I believe it's $22, and then there'll be tax. Is that right? That's what's on the back of the book I read. So yes. Okay. So thank you so much for coming. It's wonderful. Yes.
Did we want to do audience questions?
Yeah, I wondered about that, but it wasn't on there. Okay. I didn't know. I have a script, and I wasn't sure if I was to go away from the script, but yeah. So questions from you. Do you have any questions for Laurie or for Kim?
I'm a writer, but I'm new to poetry, and I was wondering if you have any tips for people who are interested in getting started. And I think this could be, maybe both of you have some different thoughts about that.
Go ahead. Okay.
First of all, is that you, Ashley?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I just have to tell everybody. Ashley Mattern is the associate editor of the Spring magazine for Saskatchewan Writers Guild. And I'm the, she's the managing editor. I'm the associate poetry editor, and we've not met. We've only discussed on, so I'm so excited you're here. Yeah, that's awesome. Do I have any advice? No, I mean, I think Laurie alluded to this, but for poetry, for any kind of writing, observation, I think is key. So it's not just getting in touch with your senses, but trying to see things differently or in a new way. And close observation, I think, helps. You know, it sounds so new agey, but something like staring at a leaf. Okay, everyone's looked at leaves and written poems about leaves, but what do you see in a leaf? What does it remind you of? That kind of thing. So that would be my first writing exercise for you, Ashley.
And I would say if you're not in a poetry group, it's probably a good idea.
Oh.
Because writers inspire writers.
Any other questions? Any specific questions for Laurie or for Kim?
Going once. All right.
Okay.
Well, if we don't have any questions, then perhaps we'll just move straight into the signing. Unless, is there anything else you guys would like to say?
I bet you guys would like to help with a picture if Kim and Laurie stood here with their books, and then you guys were like, yes, that would make a really awesome picture.
Yeah.
So let's do that. Right here. So you two stand right in the middle with, well, hold your breasts.
Do you want this nice copy of my book instead of my
Sure, you grab the nicer copy.
Can I just say, you guys, I totally forgot to thank my dad, who is here and has never been to one of my readings before, and he's 85 years old. So I'm stealing the thunder back because I go. So here, go.
Okay, yes.
All right. Yeah. My dad.
Okay, everybody, let's show support. Wave. Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for coming. I didn't get a chance to comment on Laurie's work, but her being a city girl, her work really spoke to me and stood out as something that was quintessentially Canadian, but not all of us get to see. And so I'm really grateful for her being able to open up and share that this beautiful way of life that us city dwellers can sometimes take for granted. So thank you. Thank you so much for Wild Skies Press for you guys all being here. Yes, and please think about your Christmas gifts as you're picking up these books. And our two lovely authors will be right back here, so we'll make a nice line and go from there. Thank you.